working on roads, we hope. Lawmakers in Lansing are finalizing details and arguably their most important job, the state budget. A framework deal has been reached, including allocating some money towards Michigan's film incentive program.
That program came under fire in the House of Representatives, which voted to end the program. The Senate and Governor Rick Snyder have been more supportive, asking for $50 million for the film incentives program next year.
In the framework budget deal, we saw a compromise with $25 million, half of what they're asking allocated to the program. That means the program would live to see at least another day or two, but some are questioning just how it's going to impact the industry.
Yeah, the Michigan Film Office says there were $64 million in incentives last year. From that, the office estimates there were $245 million in private investment. They say nearly a 4-to-1 payback.
But others question those numbers, saying there may not be much of a benefit at all. So joining us now, Janelle Leonard, director of the Michigan Film Office, and Jarrett Skora from the Mackinac Center for Public Policy, which is not at all in favor of some of these incentives. We'll talk to them in a second. But first of all, Janelle, just in case some of the viewers aren't familiar, give us a rundown on how that program works.
Absolutely. So the Michigan Film Office was created back in '79, and in 2008 it started a credit program by which it incents projects to come to Michigan to feature different areas, locations, and create their project here in the state. The credit started actually as a national trend. There are about 40 other states in the nation that actually have a film credit, incentive, or grant program. So right now, Michigan is actually competitive against other states as it works, as we implement the incentive program today.
What happens? They make a movie here, and then they get money back from the state to cover some of their costs? Is that basically what happens?
Sure. So what they do is they send in an application. They tell me how much they plan to spend in Michigan, and then we are able to calculate what their incentive would be in return. So we have a 25% base incentive. So if they come, they tell me they're going to spend $100 million, I can give them an incentive of up to 25% based off of their spend in Michigan. We tell them what they're eligible to receive. That project then has a 3-year window by which to go complete their actual project. They go back to our office, they do an independent audit, they confirm that they actually spent what they said they were going to spend, and then we provide them an incentive based off of the amount they actually spent.
Okay.
That money can be, go ahead.
I was just gonna. Okay, we're having just one of those little delay issues. Hold on a second. Hold on to that thought. Jarrett Skora from the Mackinac Center standing by. So we've already heard the film office say that there's like a 4-to-1 return on this money, and still even $50 billion or $50 million is such a small percentage of the huge budget. So why are you even fighting over this?
Sure, yeah. They're actually not arguing that there's a 4-to-1 return. What they're saying is that there's spending in the state, but spending in the state is not equal to what the taxpayers return on this. The Senate Fiscal Agency found a few years ago there's an 11 cents on the dollar return for this. And when you look nationwide, there are no independent economists who find a return on investment for film subsidy programs. And we appropriate about $500 million on this program in Michigan here. And so we feel that money would be best spent on other projects.
Janelle, your reaction to that?
Absolutely. So the return on investment, tax dollar going out versus tax dollar going in, there have been several studies that have been conducted. The one that we have that is a nationally recognized independent audit program says it's a 38-cent return on dollar, which Jared is correct. For that tax dollar going out, tax dollar going in, there's a 38-cent return. What I was previously mentioning is the private investment that's coming back to the state. So we are incenting money coming into the state that wouldn't already come in by providing the incentive. So for communities that are realizing that are having these projects in their area, they're actually receiving that benefit of that private investment. Those are dollars going to the employer, that's going to the employee, that's going to the restaurant, to the grocery store. That's the private impact that is the 4-to-1.
Jarrett, now, when you're crunching numbers, I know sometimes you don't think about this, but there's a cool factor. I mean, come on, Ben Affleck hanging around Michigan. It puts Michigan in a good light. So isn't that one of these cases, maybe you got to spend a little money to make money and to attract people here?
Yeah, the states tend to not do a very good job of doing that. And if you see, at the exact time when Michigan was spending the most money on this film incentive program, 2009, 2010, we were doing very, very poorly, actually. So one thing is you do get a cool factor to some extent. However, what's cooler than that would be states pursuing sound public policy and spending this money on other things that aren't as cool but are necessary. So things like roads and transportation and education. And the return on investment on those areas is much, much higher, particularly for a state that has been dealing with budget deficits and things like that.
Janelle, we have less than 30 seconds left. We just want to ask you, if this keeps decreasing or goes away,
Absolutely.
what effect do you think it'll have on the film industry here?
So the film office is more than just the incentive program, and the film industry is more than the film incentive program. We actually just released a strategic plan just yesterday that goes beyond just the incentives to actually show the depth and breadth of the industry here in the state. And we look forward to implementing those recommendations to support them further.
Okay, we've got those on the screen right now. We do thank you, Janelle Leonard from the Michigan Film Office and Jared Scorp from the Mackinac Center for Public Policy, for both your inputs tonight.